Well, hello there friends. Stag here. Welcome back to my channel where I showcase the creation process of my creepy cute lowbrow and gothic fantasy art and ramble the art things. Today's video is a pin unboxing. If you guys have been following along, you have probably seen a lot from my Creepers and Haunts enamel pin project, and you're about tired of hearing about it. All the Kickstarter orders were shipped, so if you haven't gotten yours yet, because international shipping or whatever, it'll probably be there soon. But I have since released all of these pins on my site. So, enamel pins. I go through a middleman. Pin game strong. Because I have no idea what I'm doing. It was a lot of information to look into last year when I first started making them. I am not a digital artist. I don't do vector. I don't understand vector. I do not want vector. Like, I have in the past for other things had to convert line art to vector, but I forget how to do it absolutely every time after I do it. Like 5 minutes after I do it. I do not work in Illustrator, I work in Photoshop for all the art, mostly. I just felt having a middleman made me more comfortable with investing all that money in, because pins do not come cheap. And if I had more questions about the process, I wouldn't end up more confused. My first 2 pins were hard enamel and relatively simple in design, but I do a lot of characters, so I really wanted to take some of these characters and just slam them into a whole new media. I decided from the beginning I was going the soft enamel route, with some enamel your lines and fill spaces can be a little bit smaller, and the third dimension I feel really helps accentuate some details. I knew I needed all the room for all the details I could get, because pins are not perfect and they're quite small. Like, I opted in for bigger sizes of all of them, but Zombicorn and the Skull Cat ended up being 2 inches, but Zombicorn and Skull Cat were 1 3/4 inch. Like, pins are not perfect. They are handmade, hand-filled. A lot of work, a lot of errors go into them and can happen. Possibly why they're so terrifying. They are a huge investment, and they take about 3 weeks to a month to even see what's going on with them. There is no guarantee any will turn out completely like you wanted, because all the pigments are hand mixed, and sometimes, like, the cutouts you might have in designs to be reinforced with like a backfill. I don't really know the terminology, but there are so many factors to these guys that can go wrong or need to be changed so it doesn't compromise the pin. I had to go with another back plate for my first signature. For my other pins was a little big for at least the Ember Witch. I don't remember which signature was used on which, but luckily they reused the back plates, so I don't have to worry about that, because the 2 should be good for any other pin designs I have in the future. But if you order like 100 quantity, which is the common minimum from these factories, you will not get 100 perfect pins, most likely. Sometimes the enamel may be chipped, or, my favorite, a single random particle of glitter embedded in the enamel. None of the pins I ordered had glitter, but glitter is like the herpes of craft supplies, and by God, I can imagine it coats every surface in these factories. When I get the pins, I normally go through and do a check and make sure they're up to par, and I separate the ones that are bad. Like, you just kind of cut a loss. You might have like 10 of the 100 that just don't work out. But overall, I'm really happy with the way they turned out. I want to do more detailed ones like this later this year with fairies for a more whimsical, sweet release. An absolute surprise to ZOMBICORN that I wasn't expected is the metal. The pigment they use for the metal is UV reactive, so like ZOMBICORN, the metal of it actually glows like this hot pink, which I cannot for the life of me get a great picture of. The best I could do was here in this video. Like, it turns really hot pink. I was hoping the Skull Cat did as well, but it does not. Apparently it was hit with the UV light at Pin Game Strong, and they're like, oh, it glows, cool, so they sent me a picture of it. Like, I had no idea it was going to. I was kind of excited, even though I didn't really have a black light anymore. Like, I got a little flashlight one to test out things, because that's something I might keep in mind for future pins, like if I find out more of the pigments of the Pantones that are UV reactive, because it's pretty cool. And then I went around testing like all the pins in my collection. Like, I have a bunch of I have a huge amount of pins from various loot boxes and whatnot, ones that have been gifted, ones that I don't even remember acquiring most of them. I just have a huge collection now. So I had fun kind of going through with this little flashlight, just seeing everything that glowed, and there's like purples and reds and all sorts of colors that I was surprised that glue in the light. I was slightly alarmed though, because I got the little UV flashlight, the little blacklight thing from Amazon, relatively cheap, but I'm looking through the pictures and I just kept finding all these glowing scorpions, and I never realized scorpions were, some scorpions anyway, are UV reactive apparently. Like, I personally don't have scorpions in my area. I didn't know this was a problem, that people like needed to equip themselves with a special flashlight to run around finding them. I'm like, who is looking for scorpions? Like, I was really confused at first because I thought they were just like people alone. It's just, they're using like the same prop with this glow in the dark toy or something as a thing, but no, apparently it was real scorpions. It's real. The UV scorpion struggle is real. So, fun fact. Card backs. I decided to do a separate back for the Creepers and Haunts pin series. I want a design decision based on the promotionals I made for it. But I did recently get a new backing card for my other pins as well. And a third one yet that isn't pictured here, for more whimsical and sweet designs. And I'll have for unicorn pins, which are hopefully making their way to me potentially next week. Well, hello there, Stag from the future. I actually have already received and released the unicorn pins. This video, since recording the audio, it's just been sitting here waiting to go up, so that is a little update from the future. I did not record that opening of those because it's really hard when you get stuff like enamel pins. After all the stress of waiting for them to be done, when you finally get them, it's too hard to not open them like a kid on Christmas. For the creeper backs and the stag skull cards, I went with spot UV for some elements on the card. It raises the texture of certain areas, like text, and adds a gloss finish to the area. It is almost unnoticeable unless you catch it in just the right light though. The unicorn cards, I tried out a pearl finish that looks pretty awesome. I don't know how familiar you guys are with pins, but the pin backs, I have an issue with the kind that you squeeze off. Like, they kind of lock into place, but I've had an issue with so many of them failing, getting stuck, not staying on, that I just started opting for rubber backing clutches that come standard. I've just had a lot of annoyance with them. I don't know. Let me know what you guys prefer if you've had issues with them. I don't know if I'm just crazy. I just don't like those ones that you have to like squeeze the two metal pieces to get them off. Anyways, guys, I will leave this at that, and I will catch you next time. I'm thinking of throwing up a fertile soils painting video up this weekend. You can also find me on Instagram, where I post work in progress stuffs and other lovely things. You can also find these pins, original paintings, and a plethora of other art merch on my website, lowbrowmisfits.com. Well, bye.